I, 35 female, do not want to contribute to my father's, 65 male, retirement at all, mainly because growing up he always told me he never had money for me. My parents never married and were together till I was about 7 years old. But my dad cheated on my mom many times, and after he got a second woman pregnant, mom forgave the first. They really separated. Once I learned the truth that I had half-siblings at the age of 11. My father called me and told me that things were going to be different from that day on. That I had been sheltered too much, and I had to learn the harsh truths of life. Also, he told me that I couldn't be asking him for any money because he had to pay for my younger siblings' child support. After that conversation, I was very confused. Yes, my mom had tried to do her best to shield me from all the trouble she had been going through with my dad, but so had the rest of my father's family. But once I knew, my father changed. Things as simple as asking him for money for their ice cream truck were met with the answer, "I already told you I have no money for you." But then he would turn around and give my other half-sibling a $5 bill. He did things like that all the time, and it hurt and was confusing for me. But my grandma was always right by my side, buying me ice cream and then giving me a $20 bill and telling me not to mind the idiot my father was. I really do appreciate her for everything. As a teen, I lived full-time with my mom, but my half-siblings had their own rooms at my dad's home, even though they were only there on weekends. I never got a room at his home, but I didn't care as much because he got married and I just didn't feel like I was a part of his life. Growing up, he did get me a phone, but he really seemed to not want to. My mom told him he had to because he got my half-siblings their own. He said, "Take care of it because that's it. If you break it or lose it, tough luck. I already have so many bills, and now I have to pay for this." I was super excited and thought I would show him I could handle having a cell phone. 5 years later, I found out that one of my siblings was replacing their 6th phone because they had dropped it out a window. Sadly, I pulled out my phone and asked my dad about him saying he wouldn't fix or replace our phones. He just turned to me and said, "You're the oldest, and I don't have any more money to spend on you. You understand?" My half-sibling saw my phone, and when we were at the phone store, she came to me and told me she had insisted on the newer model that had a buy one get one free promotion and had convinced my dad to let me have the free phone. She thought I could use a new phone and didn't understand what my dad was saying since he always bought her everything she asked him. At that point, I just realized we were innocent kids, mixed up in all this mess my dad had put together. I just gave up after that point. If anything, I got closer to my grandma and aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone knew more about what was going on in my life than my dad. Things finally came to a really bad end at my high school graduation. My dad arrived and was confused, as everyone was congratulating him on how well I had done and gotten into a top college, and was graduating with college credits and more. Part of me knows I pushed myself to do my best at times to try and get my dad to notice me, but he never did. So I stopped telling him and instead did it to make my mom and grandma and the rest of my family proud. And everyone at graduation were happy for us, although I thought my dad did not deserve any of the congratulations people were throwing his way. He pulled me aside after the graduation pictures were taken. I thought he was going to tell me good job. Nope. He said, "You finished high school, so I am done. Do not ask me for any money for college. Do not give your college any of my information. Forget my phone number. Address. My role as your father is done. Just forget you have a father. Got it?" Needless to say, after that, I was done. I later told my mom, and she was furious he would say that, but told me not to worry because people like my father, who were so concerned about how much money they had, would get what they deserved. Kind of like karma would take care of him. Anyways, it was hard telling the admissions office for my college and financial aid that I could not provide them any information on my dad. They said they wouldn't give me any financial aid unless I provided them with those details, so I instead told them the last words my dad told me. Needless to say, they just quietly gave me a parent estrangement form that had to be filled out every year after that. A few years later, I found out that when I was 16 years old, my grandma had actually called the cops on my father a day before Thanksgiving because he had not been paying my child support for about 5 or 6 years. My mom had not told anyone in the family because she didn't want to cause any problems or for any of the backlash to fall on me. But somehow, my grandma found out. To this day, my mom has no idea how, but it probably doesn't hurt that my dad would always say he didn't have any money for me. Maybe that gave my grandma the idea. Anyways, we talked, and my grandma found out that he was paying for the other child supports no problem and had just excluded me. After that, she made it her mission to make sure he paid for mine as well, or she had no problem putting him back in jail. He actually spent the night there because my grandma refused to help him, and she got mad at my mom because she had not told her of what had been going on. My grandma then told my mom that if it ever happened again, to just let her know, and she would happily help take her son to court or jail. My grandma is the best. Anyways, in the span of 7 years, my father lost his home, one daughter ran away with some guy, a few strokes, a heart attack, bankruptcy, and a lot more happened to him. All my mom tells me now is, see, karma works. He has now ended up sleeping on a friend's sofa. I do talk to him again now since I have kids, and I feel it would be weird for them not to know who he is, but it's more like cordial meetings at family events. He never came when I had my first, not to the hospital, or after at our home, when all the rest of my dad's side of the family came. After one of his heart attacks, he called for me to come to the hospital, and I went because my grandma asked me to. He never said sorry or anything, but he realized he might be dying, and he at least wanted us to be on better terms. I said fine, but I, as well as everyone else, noticed none of his other children came, even though he had called them. Well, he is now looking at retirement. He commented, "I was looking at retirement plans." All I said was, "That is great that you are figuring it all out," and walked away to talk to someone else. So now he wants me to contribute. I won't. I already told my mom that if anything, I will always help her and my grandma, and I would always do my best to help any member of my family, like they always had for me, but not my dad. Never my dad. After hearing it so many times, all I can think of in response is, "I don't have any money for you. I have too many bills to pay. Do not ask me again." It sounds like you know perfectly well what to say. Me, 28 male, and my ex, 30 female, wife have 2 kids together. We separated shortly after she became pregnant with our second and continued living together until she gave birth. We had already discussed that after the birth of our son we would get divorced, and we did. 3 years later, our son is now 3 and our daughter now 6. My wife is remarried and moved a few hours away, meaning I now have primary custody of our kids. I'm bi, part of the reason we separated, and my current partner is a guy, 25 male. We've been dating for almost 2 years, and 3 months into our relationship, he met my little ones. He grew up with younger sisters, so I guessed he would be good with kids, but holy hell, is he good with kids. He's been able to even help calm them down and convince them to eat or clean up their toys and stuff when I can't. He moved in with me about 4 months ago because of issues with his old roommate. My kids love him. He picks them up from school and takes them out when I'm working. He's not dad, but they really like him. My ex came back to visit for a few weeks. She planned to take the kids out places, get stuff to eat, buy some toys and clothes with them and stuff. I cleared up our guest room for her and everything was fine until my boyfriend came home. She knew I was dating him, fine with that, knew he was living there, less fine with that, but didn't bring it up. But she really didn't like when our daughter ran up to him to greet him and ask about his day. He picked her up and started talking and laughing with her, and my ex looked super pissed. I helped her bring her bags to the room and she locked the door, wanting to talk to me in private. She told me she didn't like how close he was with the kids and that she wants me to tell him to step back. No more picking them up or buying them treats and stuff. I told her no way. 1, he's not doing anything wrong, and 2, thanks to the hours of his job, he's around most of the day, and paying for other childcare would be way too expensive. She started yelling that they are her kids too, and she should get a say in who is around them. Despite the door being closed, she was loud enough that it caused our son to start crying. We rushed into the front room. My boyfriend had picked up our son and was bouncing him and calming him. He gave me a worried look as if to ask if everything was okay. My ex tried to grab our son, yelling at my boyfriend that he's not their parents, so he shouldn't act like one with them. I told her to leave, go for a walk or something and calm down. She refused to leave without the kids, so I just told her to go unpack. I apologized to my boyfriend. I had no idea she would react like that. We all went out for dinner that night, planned to welcome my ex, and the atmosphere was awful. When my kids got the menu, they turned to my boyfriend to help them order. He did, and it was clear my ex didn't like it. When our daughter couldn't decide, he helped her only for my ex to butt in and suggest a different meal after she had decided. At one point, my boyfriend went to the bathroom. As soon as he was gone, my ex made the kids move so he couldn't sit next to them. The breaking point was when my boyfriend ordered a drink, and she made a comment about not wanting an alcoholic around her kids. Alcoholism is a sore spot for my boyfriend. He excused himself, said bye to the kids, and told me to stay with the kids. He was going home. My boyfriend didn't go home. He called up one of his sisters and went around there for the night. I put the kids to bed and pulled my ex aside, telling her she needs to go. She can take the kids out tomorrow or something, but she will not be spending another night in my house. She breaks down and tells me how things aren't going well with her husband. She wants a kid, but doesn't want to have one biologically. These arguments have led to a dip in their life. I didn't really need to know that. And she just feels like she's being punished. She then said she has started to miss me and thought she could drive away my new side piece. Yes, she called my long-term boyfriend a side piece. But then she saw how well he had become part of my family. She got really sad and mad again. Not once did she apologize, just trying to justify her actions. I told her that she knew his stance on kids when they got married, that she was the one that divorced me for a BS reason, that she's the one that's in the wrong here, and that she's lucky I'm giving her tomorrow and not throwing her out right now. So she now left, reluctantly, and I went to pick up my boyfriend from his very protective and now pissed off sister. When I got home, my phone started blowing up with calls and texts from my ex's family, saying what I did was cruel and I shouldn't punish the kids for my boyfriend's and my ex's husband's action. At that point, I just shut off my phone. I have no idea what to do anymore. I'm now worried about what my ex is going to do and say when she has the kids. What the hell do I do? Keep your relationship with your ex cordial. However, don't invite her into your home. That's your and your partner's safe space, and her actions are completely violating him. Speak to her only about the children. Create firm boundaries. Make sure she doesn't cross them. Seek legal advice and document everything. Trying to keep this short. I am 31. I was supposed to get married in April next year, but I had a huge panic attack one afternoon when I came home from work to find my sister on the couch chatting with my boyfriend. I haven't talked with my sister in years, and my fiance knew I wouldn't tolerate any contact between them, and yet, there she was. Growing up, my sister was the golden child, and always had an unstoppable need to be the center of attention. When she was 17 and I was 19, she decided that she liked my boyfriend and started to aggressively pursue him. They ended up doing something together. My ex immediately confessed, and my relationship with both was ruined. I was pleasantly surprised to see that my parents for once got seriously angry with her, so my relationship with them wasn't lost, and I still see them regularly, but I categorically refused to be in the same room with her. When I left home, I blocked her everywhere, and haven't had any contact since. My current fiance knew how hurt I still feel about it, that she is the only person I will never tolerate and never allow in my life. So I am not sure I can forgive him for getting in contact with her and inviting her over to get to know each other better. She wanted to make amends, apparently. They looked so lovely together, there on the couch. I don't even know if it was the first meeting. I doubt it. Or if they have been chatting secretly for some time. I feel bad at typing it. I was petrified. Told them I left something in the car and ran away. I ignored his calls and went to my maid of honors to crash there for the time being. The only contact I had with him was to text him that I couldn't remove the sight of him and my sister together, that I have told him thousands of times and I will never allow her back into my life, and that I wanted a break. My parents know that the marriage is off. His parents know too, and I am stuck in this limbo where I feel so pissed and angry at him. I feel like I am throwing 5 years of relationship down the drain, but I don't see any other alternative. I feel like mine was a simple request, and if he has this unstoppable urge to get in contact with her after I explicitly asked him not to, then he is not the right person. But I feel so hurt I am not sure I am thinking straight. Edit. I wrote badly and I apologize. My actual fiancé is not the same man that betrayed me with my sister years ago. Although they look similar, I met my current fiancé at work 6 years ago and started going out after a few months, and he is an engineer. The boyfriend I had when I was 19 is now in another country, being a barman, and probably being the same idiot he always was. How the duck did they even get in contact? They are both weirdos. That's so odd to do. Even if she wanted to make amends, why would you reach out to my fiancé? I'm mad with you, girl. That's annoying as hell. I'm assuming your fiancé comes from a nice family and has siblings he's close to. He probably has it in his head that you two can make amends and that you need a push in the right direction. People without toxic in the family can't really relate to people who do. You need to talk to him and state that this can't happen again, and if he can't respect you with your decision in cutting her out, then you are done. He probably had good intentions, but those good intentions don't make up going over your boundaries.